Hi everybody, it's me, Carrie Beglow, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Farmington Hills, Michigan. This is my recorded video for the Volume February 2023 event. I want to thank you all for your patience with me. I'm, boy, right on cue. I am still sick, but I wanted to get this video done so that those of you who bought the kit can get it together. If you have any questions, you can comment here and I will check my post both on the volume page and on my own facebook.com/MemoryINKers for your questions, or you can email me at memoryinkers@gmail.com. If you are still shopping for February 2023, which is celebration, use this hostess code 2, T as in Tom, Q as in Queen, M as in Michael, P as in Paul, K as in Carrie, 7, D as in David. Okay, we're going to move this out of the way and I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so those of you who bought the kit have gotten some variation of what I'm showing. You've got the card kits to make the cards. You got perhaps the bundle with the punch or the bundle with the dies, which are inside that box. The designer series paper everybody got. The full roll of the awesome navy, what is this called? Sorry, you guys. Bordered ribbon. And a full pack of the adhesive back Milky Dots, plus miscellaneous other items to help you complete your 5 projects. So you will see a lot of stop and starts in this video so that I can get everything ready. So thank you and bear with me with this cold. You will see I am working in my jammies. That's right. I am doing my best for you guys. Okay, hang on. Okay, we're going to work on our first card, which is this one here. I've already pre-stamped and punched the flowers and the extra little leaves, but I wanted to show you for the leaves, because of the way the punch is, it's not always easy to get the leaf in there the way you might think you want it to be in there. So I recommend that you stamp them. I started out stamping them in a strip and I found that it didn't like that very much. So I've trimmed it down, and then I have a scrap of sticky note, which I'm going to place on there. Then when you hold your punch upside down, you can slide this in and get it to fit where you want, so you can then punch it out. Now you see that it definitely does have a piece of the Post-it note on the back, so just, peel that off so it's not on there. Okay, so that's my little trick for that. And for the coloring, I'm going to show you what I did, because if you look, oh, that's a terrible punch. I don't feel good. Did I mention that? Okay, I'm glad that was my spare. That one's a little better. I'm actually using the exact same color. These were with the these two little stamps here. And I actually used the same color, shaded spruce, to stamp both by doing the stamp off technique for the inside piece. So I'm going to show you how that's done on the main piece. So you ended up with 3 pieces that were like 4 by 5 1/4. One of them is for the inside of the card because it's too dark to write on. One is for the front, and one is for stamping and punching out all of your little pieces. There is enough there for the 6 flowers and 5 little leaves. So I'm looking for something. Hold on. Here it is. You definitely want to have a piece of scrap paper. My favorite to use is the Stamparatus sheets. I use them all the time. All right, I'm going to sit down, so hopefully I'll stay in camera range. I'm trying to pay attention to that because when I'm filming, I can't really exactly see where I am. Okay, so I said I was going to teach you how I got the light and the dark with the same color of ink. This is shaded spruce. It's the same color as the cardstock. Some of you did order some of the matching colors. Some of you did not. If you did not, it's okay. We can work with whatever you have. Okay, so I'm going to stamp this on here twice. And the first one I am going to put right there. And then the next one I am going to put right there. Just a little bit so it isn't off. So you can see this is full strength with the garden green. Also, on my card, I used a happy birthday from another stamp set. This time I'm going to use birthday wishes because I wanted you to see you could use differences. This birthday wishes is from the new Nested Friends. It's in the annual catalog. So while I've got the garden green nice and thick, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp that. So there is a trick to lining up the inside piece that matches the leaves, and I want to make sure I show you that. So, you know, it might have been a blessing that this did not go live because I might end up over my 30 minutes. Sorry, Kate. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to find where the flowers match, and that one goes this way. And before I put it on the block, I'm going to set them on here because this is kind of wiggly, right? And you want to make sure that you're getting them lined up pretty good. So I'm going to line up this piece, and then I'm going to take this one and I'm going to get it to where it looks like it's in the right place. Might take a little bit of wiggling. There we go. Now I can see that when I stamp it, it's going to be where I want it. So I'm going to take a blank block and then lift it up. Now it's exactly where I want it. So now I'm going to, this is pretty big, so I'm going to put the ink to the stamp this time. And I'm going to stamp it off. And then I am going to add it onto the card front, like so. So then see, it does come out a little bit lighter. You get the definition. And that is how I did that piece. So in lieu of time, I'm not going to show you, I did them all and I have all the pieces. So I'm just going to give you the rough estimate of what I did. I wanted the edges rough. If you look carefully, you can see that my edges are rough. You can take your scissors, your snips, and just run them on the edge of your card. And the good thing about when you do something like this, if you happen to make a mistake and you cut it too deep or it tears, it's okay because you're going to want to make it look kind of worn out and vintagey, right? So you do this. Oops, see, look what I did. I'm okay with it though. I'm going to make that work. So all I'm going to do with this piece is I'm going to kind of rough it up even more and maybe even bend it back, and then maybe I'll put some coloring on it. For this corner, what I did was I kind of played with it like that. And I bent it until I thought it looked kind of nasty. I know that sounds crazy, but that's how I got that. And see how this doesn't matter. It didn't rip through the happy birthday, so that's a lucky thing. So basically that's all I did, and then I put on all the flowers. Let me close this before I make a big mess. Oh, I'm sorry. First I put on this piece that was included with you. This is our, sorry, I got to look it up again, metallic net ribbon in silver. So I put that down, and then I added all of my flowers, and of course attach that to the front of the card, right? So then you're going to attach all of your flowers. I did take the leaves. I'm looking for my flowers. They're there. I did take the leaves and I attached them prior to putting them on. I glued them in place like so. And that way you can decide how you want them before I put them down. And then of course, I used some of our fantastic adhesive back gems. Now for this one, I did use the ones that look the most clear, okay, to put on all the flowers and to do some off to the sides. I like uneven numbers. They make your eyes look a little better. This one actually has 9 of those gems on it. So I think it's got a lot of fun. Hopefully this is enough of a description for you guys to understand how to make this card. So let's move on to the next one. If you have questions, remember, let me know. Okay, this is card number 2, which you can see right here. And I've given you all of the pieces and you have the ribbon. I did want you to see that I cut this piece from this awesome die set. We're also going to be using on the tag that I sent you these 2 dies. This is called Something Fancy dies, and they do coordinate with the Something Fancy stamp set, which is not part of this kit, but I wanted you to see it. So what you're going to do for this one is pretty simple. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to take this piece of Petal Pink and you are going to run it through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, or whatever die cut and emboss machine that you own that will take a thick, because this is a 3D, a thick folder. Follow the instructions for your machine, and I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so I have already done that, and you will notice this is an awesome, for those of you who got it, it's such a fun folder. It's called Cane Weave, which matches some of the Designer Series paper. I also ran this piece through, and you can see it's 6 inches by, let's see, 1 3/4 inches. So the reason I did it that way is so that I could then adhere it and trim it off as I saw fit. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to put a little bit of adhesive. Oops, I'm out of camera. Hang on. I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive at the top, down the edge, and down here. And then I'm going to go like this so that I can kind of see where that edge is. Now, normally I would tell you to put it on the back of the paper, but I didn't want it to ooze out. So I'm going right up to the edge. You can get fussy if you want and try to line up the way it's been embossed. You can also apply the Designer Series paper first and then emboss. But then I'm just going to push that down and trim off my excess like so. Okay, now you're going to add a piece of the beautiful ribbon that I have moved, I think. Just a moment. I found it. Yay. Please tell me you guys have been through that before. I'm like, I know I don't feel good, but this is craziness. So, excuse me, I have cut off a piece of that. Now I'm going to take a piece of tear and tape because I want it to stick, but I'm not going to put the tear and tape all the way across. I don't want to use liquid glue because that can get messy under ribbon. So I know that I'm going to be attaching flowers about right there. So I'm going to put it there. That way, if any sticky comes up through the ribbon, it will be taken care of by having the flowers over the top. I hope that makes sense. Then I'm going to set that right there. Whoops. Do it that way. There does seem to be a wrong and a right side to this ribbon. Then you want to use a strong adhesive here. So I'm going to grab that just to make sure that it sticks. Now, embossed cardstock doesn't like, see how it's pulling? It doesn't like it. It wants to pull the cardstock off. So I wanted to be sure you guys could see that that can be an issue. If it is, that's our super strong seal, by the way. That's our Seal Plus. So it is very strong. So peel those away. But this helps keep your ribbon in place. And you can even kind of set it on your grid paper to see. I'm going to try to get it to where you guys can see. if you line this one up here, then you can take this one and make sure it kind of lines up the same. So you get an even coverage, which that does not look even. There we go. So there we go. And then you're going to go ahead and put it onto your thick basic white. Remember that there are hills and valleys on these scored. I pre-scored this one for you. You fold into the hill, not into the valley. It's opposite of what you think it should be. Use your bone folder to score that down. And then you're going to adhere this onto the front. I personally like to use liquid glue. It gives me a minute to get it onto the card front. I use the mono liquid, multi-liquid glue that Stampin' Up! Sells. And I have it so that the designer series paper is at the fold line. You may choose to do it the opposite way. You may even decide to do your card in portrait style. That is up to you. I want to show you how I did the happy birthday very quickly here. For mine, I used the Biggest Wishes stamp set, and I'm using happy and birthday. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the happy and I am going to stamp that in Balmy Blue, which is a great coordinated color for this because this designer series paper is Balmy Blue. And I'm going to ink up the happy. And I'm going to stamp that near the top. Pardon my head if it ends up in the camera. Okay, so that is happy. Then I'm going to take the Night of Navy and I'm going to stamp birthday right over it. And it is dark enough that it works together. Now you might want to use a little bit lighter shade. I just re-inked all of my pads, I think. You can see this happy's a little bit lighter. Okay, so then you're going to go ahead and adhere it to the other tag that I gave you. Set it right in the center. And then the ribbon for this is so super simple. I mean, obviously any sentiment that you can fit on here would be great. I'm just going to take a little piece of this right here, set it in a V. Then I'm going to grab a stapler, set it on here where I want it to go, and then staple. Now you have to watch, every stapler goes in a different spot. So there you go. And then you have your happy birthday. So I want to show you the trick with this before we move on to the next card. I obviously stamped and punched out the flowers, all right? And they were stamped with Night of Navy and Petal Pink. Night of Navy, it's Night of Navy and Petal Pink, just so you guys are aware. Then I stamped the flowers with Night of Navy and Balmy Blue. I'm sorry, these are the leaves. And then I cut them to decide where I wanted them on my flowers. So if you look carefully, you can see that I cut them a little bit oddly. I have to kind of look and see what I did. I think I used these here. And yes, I fussy cut. I know. But you know, some people love fussy cutting. Some people really don't like fussy cutting. It is a personal preference thing. So then I cut it this way for this piece. And then these are cut into pieces. These two are here, and then I cut these two apart for that. So I did that so you guys would think about how you really want your cards to go. I don't think I'm putting this back in the right order, but you see it here. But use it in different ways and cut it apart. There is no die for that. So it's just a fun way to put it together. And then, of course, you're going to want to add some of your milky dots. I use the Knight of Navy for that card. So that's card number 2. Okay, I'm just looking. I'm already at 20 minutes. So I guess it was kind of blessing that I got sick. So this might be a little more than a 30-minute video. So I wanted you to see real quick, the front of this card was put through the machine with the embossing folder to get the awesome embossing on the front. I'm not going to bother showing you all this. I want to show you how I did this. That is the important part of this card. So you will see that this piece, which is Melon Mambo, is cut. It is actually 2 inches by 6 inches. I wanted it longer. You're going to need your stamping trimmer, your paper trimmer, or something that will let you score. And you are going to score at 1-inch increments. So I'm going to go to 1 inch, score, 2 inch, score, 3 inch, 4 inch, and 5 inch. Okay, so it looks like this might be, nope, it's 6 inches. Okay, so now you have those score lines. The score lines are only to be your guide. They are not, you're not going to be folding anything. So, you guys, I don't know if you can see these. I probably should have used a pencil for you guys. Hold on a minute. Okay, that should help you guys see this a little bit better. You're not going to want to use a pencil, though, when you do it. You're going to want to keep it pretty straight. Then all you're going to do is you're going to cut strips of the Designer Series paper into 1/2 inch widths. They don't necessarily need to be 6 inches long, but it helps if they are. So you're going to put just a little bit of adhesive on the back, and you will start at this corner here, and you're going to put your paper so that it's hanging off, okay, at this corner. So I'm on this stripe, and I'm going to that corner, okay? And I am going to then grab the next one. These are the ones on the bottom. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start at this width and go to that one. And just keep repeating that as you go down your strip here. Okay, so you're getting the idea, right? Then what you're going to do is you're going to go the opposite way with the other colors. Now it's going to be a little harder because you've got this division, right? And things are covered. But you know that that's a corner. So you're going to go across to this corner up here, up there, which I don't think I put enough adhesive on that. And then you will grab the next one. Looks like I needed a piece right here too. Sorry. Let me grab that just so it's there. I'm going to grab this piece because we're going to cut those off. So let me set that under here just so that I have it there for that one. It's not perfect. There we go. That's a little better. All right. And then we're going to take and just keep crossing. Okay. So again, I'm going to go down here. I'm going to come up to there. So you can see how you end up with the crisscross pattern. When you are all done, you're going to trim off all these edges, and then you're going to trim it down to 5 inches. You can decide if you want to start here and trim off and go 5 inches, which will take you to there, or if you want to, kind of what I did was I kind of divided, and you can see my pencil lines are starting to disappear. once they're covered, and so will your score lines. So I hope that helps you understand what I did with this. And then, of course, I matted it with the Night of Navy. I stamped the Dear Friend, and the Dear Friend came from the coordinating stamp that was part of the bundle. Sentimental Park. So that here it is, Dear Friend, right there. And I stamped that in Night of Navy. And then, of course, I added the beautiful milky dots. So that is card number 3. Next, we're going to do this quick tag. I have run out of this ribbon. I had some and it's gone. So you'll understand that you're going to punch a hole. So I've pre-die cut these pieces for you. And that's what you're going to stamp on. All right. So for the background flowers, they come out of the Sentimental Park stamp set also that we just used on that last card. So I'm using the outline flowers here, and I'm going to put them just in the background here, just like so. Just once. There you go. And then I'm using Poppy Parade for the For You, which is also from the Sentimental For You. And I put them on the stamp set at the same time. You can choose to do that, or you can choose to do them separately. And then I'm just stamping that right into the center. Super simple, almost no stamping on this one, right? Pretty easy. And then you will adhere these two pieces together. Remember to punch the hole in them. If you do not have a strong hand at punching, you may want to punch one of them first, like this one first, and then set it on here before you glue it down and draw a pencil mark. Otherwise, you can go ahead and punch that. Then you've got this piece to stamp the flowers and punch them out. This was super simple. All I did was I just cut a corner, and then I used this piece to line up to cut the other corner. So if you just hold it in place, and then your corner, it's kind of hard to see because it's a dark color on a dark color. So, you know, if you've got older eyes like me. So that's pretty close. Is it perfect? Not a chance. So to cut this one, I set it like this and cut it there. And then I moved it to this side. Cut it there. That way when you set it on, it lines up, even though my ends are obviously off-centered. And then you just pop this on above it, like so. And add your flowers and your ribbon and your milky dots, and you get this adorable tag. You can put a lighter color on the back if you want. I think this is acceptable for writing on, but that is your tag. Okay, last but not least is going to be this fun bag. Super easy to put together. I did want to show you that the tag I punched out with this great Essential Tags punch. All I did was I took the designer series paper. This one happens to match. This one did not. It was not the same. But I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to fold it with the darker on the outside. Okay. I'm going to score that really well. And then if you have some kind of a tag punch or a die, this is how you can do it. I set it in there, okay? And then when I got to the end, I made sure I did not go all the way so that it would not punch that out. Then when I punch, I end up with a book. For this, all I did was I punched it. Y'all should have that. I punched it and then I trimmed it down just a little. Actually, this one isn't trimmed yet. You can trim it down so that it fits inside. So you guys all have this one. You can even use this one to trace, fold yours in half and trace to get the little booklet for yourself, okay? Then let's do the fun part. Let's get this. So grab your paper trimmer again. I think many of you have probably seen this type of a project before, but if you have not, it's super easy. And you can do this with any size paper that you want. I am scoring it so that it's a 1-inch thick bag, okay? If you have 12 by 12 paper that you want to do this with, you could make the bag fatter. Just remember that if you're going to do it 1 inch, it's 1 inch on 3 sides, okay? So I'm taking this designer series paper and I am going to, I know it's 6 inches, so here I'm going to go to the 5 and I'm scoring it. Ours has the 1 inch mark, so that helps. I'm turning it, going again to the 1 inch or the 5, depending on how yours works. Scoring. Scoring. You're going to do that for both pieces of your designer series paper. Now, I know you guys can barely see that, and honestly, I can barely feel it. I'm going to try and do that again. I'm going to score it again because I feel like my scorer was maybe not quite in place, which happens. You have to make sure they're popped down all the way. There we go. I can feel them now. So you're going to do that with both, and then you're going to fold. Don't press too hard because this is paper and it will tear. So now you can see the makings of your box. Now, one of the tricks I like to do is with the tabs, I like to cut them from, this is the top where there's no score. I like to cut them from there. So I'm going to go on the score. It's a little hard to see, I understand. And I'm going to go to that score line. I'm going to trim this one off in a little bit of a V. All right, like so. And I'm going to do that on the other side. And I would do this for both of them. Like I said, I like to have the flaps on the side for one of them and then go the opposite way for the other. So let me show you. Going to do the same thing again for the other piece. We're going to score at 1 inch on 3 sides. You may want to make sure that when you're doing this, you're scoring it the same way. So this pattern is pretty forgiving. It doesn't really matter which one, but you might want to check if you've got florals that are going in a certain direction, you're going to want them all to go in the same direction. So I'm going to move that and again fold my score lines. Now the first one I cut on the sides, remember. This one I am going to cut at the bottom. You want to find those score lines, and I'm going to cut a V in this one. Perfection is overrated. You just don't want to go above, you don't want to go above the score lines. That's your big thing that you want to watch. So now the decision here is what's the front, what's the back? That is kind of important. So we're going to assume that this is the front piece. So I'm going to grab, I do recommend tear and tape for a bag. And I am going to put the adhesive, the tear and tape, here, like so. Just on the outside